In the darkest blackness of human carnage and suffering, police, fire, and EMS intercede on behalf of mankind. God himself reaches out to those who suffer through their hands. Their service is a clear and unmistakable demonstration that God does not abandon people in the storms of life.
Well, welcome everyone to another episode of the Ogle County Peer Support Network. And joining me in the Post One recording studio, we have the honored, esteemed, venerable Emily Hardesty as our guest. And we were actually trying to do a twofer today, weren't we?
We were.
Two Hardestys for the price of one, but one Hardesty decided that she's got other things that she's going to do today. So I thought, okay, well, we're going to let her be because I don't want to get her mad. And to your left, we have retired Fire Chief Mike Lewis.
Yes, sir.
And you are also you're kind of doing the whole studio setup engineer thing. So thank you for all that you're doing. And across from you, we have another Lewis over here. This is Deputy Chief Mark Lewis. And so let me get this straight before we get started. So this is the Ogle County Peer Support Network, but you guys are like fire service side. So what the heck is happening?
Firefighters need peer support also.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
It's
and
for all
Ogle County,
first responders in Ogle County.
So that would include all of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hence, what we're trying to do is just get more people involved to say, well, we all need peer support. We have a dispatcher, we have a corrections officer, right? We have a pastor chaplain. I'm not sure who that guy is, but I know him personally. So yeah, this is a good thing.
You talk to him when you look in the mirror, right?
I try not to look in the mirror because I'm reminded of how old I'm getting.
It's just a number.
Yeah, it is just a number. So all right, well, this has been a long time in the process here, Emily. You are so well liked and you are in high demand. I think you were speaking in LA, New York City, you were down in Miami. So finally you said, well, I think I'll come back to Ogle County and talk to you guys too. So we want to know all about you. And that's the first question I have here is ask Emily all about herself. So how much do you want to share? It's up to you. But
okay.
So who are you?
All right. Well, I grew up in DeKalb. That's where I'm from. I come from a family of 6, so I'm the baby. I have a brother and 2 sisters, and obviously a mom and dad. Nobody in my family is in law enforcement, so I was the first. My dad was in the Marine Corps during Vietnam, so a little bit of a server, you know. My mom, she was a stay-home mom, kind of cleaned houses, took care of us kids. I actually went to private school, kindergarten through 8th, St. Mary's, and then went to DeKalb High School. So when I was in high school, our SRO came in and I guess met with probably our dean of students who called me up. And I got called up to the dean's office, and I thought, oh God, because in my household you didn't get in trouble. Okay,
Understand
whatever
that.
was going to happen in that office, it was going to be worse at home.
Right.
So, and then to make it worse, it's the dean plus the SRO. So I'm like, oh. So they sat me down and they just said, hey, we're looking for someone who's under the age of 18 to go in and buy cigarettes at some. It's a grant, and we'll send you in, and we'll drive you around. But we just want you to go in and try to buy cigarettes from local establishments. I was, okay. So well, what do I need to do? So my ma took me to the DMV. I got an ID card, because if I was asked, I was to present that ID card. We're not trying to trick anyone or lie. You present a real ID card so they could say I was under the age of 18, and if they sold to me, I would purchase, walk out, and give them to the DeKalb police officers that were there with me. So I did that, and then when I turned 18 and could legally buy cigarettes, they said, hey, you want to try buying alcohol? And I was like,
They're corrupting you.
This shit is fun. Like, you're giving me money to go do illegal stuff. I said, okay. So I did that, and kind of getting on that track, I was allowed to, at DeKalb, take KISH classes in law enforcement. So I was earning credits at Kishwaukee College for law enforcement. And so after I graduated DeKalb High School, I went to KISH, played basketball, softball, and then shortly, right around graduation, I started testing. I tested with Rochelle PD. I got on in 2006. I worked for patrol a little bit. I became a canine handler in 2010. And I had this awesome Belgian Malinois named Don. And I want to give a quick little story about Don. We went out to Denver, Indiana, to a place called Von Litt Kennels. And we were kind of testing dogs to see what would be a good match for me. So we end up picking this dog, and he's Belgian Malinois, super young, and I bring him home, and on my way to my apartment, stopped at my parents' house in DeKalb and introduced this dog to my parents. And my ma goes, "What's his name?" And I said, "His name's Don." And she started crying.
Oh, boy.
And I started crying. And the reason behind that was about 7 months before that, we had lost a family member, and his name was Don. Oh. He died pretty young, about 65 years
That's
old.
young.
And so you fast forward 7 months, and I'm getting this dog that's going to protect me and be my partner, at the click of a button, and his name's Don. So I know everybody was kind of expecting me to change his name to something cool, but I kept Don. I knew that was probably a sign that this is my guy. He's here with me now. He's going to be another guardian angel for me. So I have Don from 2010 to 2017. Was on the joint ERT team. So Rochelle was at one point a part of Ogle County's emergency response team. 2017, I decided to leave Rochelle PD after 11 years, and I came to the sheriff's office. I've been fortunate to work patrol. I'm on the river patrol team. I was an SRO for 5.5 years up at the Byron School District, and now I'm in investigations. So I think I'm in my 19th year in law enforcement between two agencies, so that's where I'm at.
Wow. So we should call you investigator,
Detective.
Emily.
Detective.
Oh, detective. Okay, detective. Yeah, I like that. So let me go back to Don. Did you know about the relative then when you named?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So Don, his name was Don Van Meer.
Okay.
And it was my mom's brother's longtime partner.
Okay.
Back then, being a gay couple, you couldn't get married.
Yeah.
But I'd known Don my whole life. As far as back as I could remember, he was a part of our family. So he was just like another uncle to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it crushed me when we lost him. I mean, you want to talk about a gentle soul. And it was anybody who knew my police dog and Don Van Meer, it was like the human mirroring the dog. Just a selfless person, caring, very giving, loved everyone, a gentle soul, and so like my dog mirrored this person, and it was wild.
Yeah. Well, that's quite a story in and of itself. I love hearing those things. There's so many of those signs, and they're everywhere. And so I know that. I mean, we can say whatever we want. We can go wherever we want in this podcast. But I know in the Bible it talks about sometimes we entertain angels and we don't even know that they are. So you just never know.
Right.
It's the craziest thing. So, well, detective, thank you for and congratulations
Thank you.
on your detectiveness.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know which order I want to take the next one, but I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's jump into something here because you are also on the peer support team.
Yes.
And not everybody realizes that Ogle County has an official peer support team. And it's just an incredible leap forward, I think. It's a resource that, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and let you say what you need to, but how did you get involved in peer support? What brought that on?
So we've had it, like 3 years now? 2 years? When did we start this?
Let's see. It's been over a year
Yeah.
that we took our training. So did it start was it 2 years ago was kind of decided?
2 years ago this summer,
It was,
I think.
yeah, it was decided. Yeah. Yeah.
So I just went to training last month for peer support. Phenomenal training. But to go back to the why, for me, I was super fortunate after our shooting June 12th to have a lot of people from our peer support reach out to me and check in on me. Sometimes it was a phone call, sometimes it was a text message, sometimes it was in person, sometimes it was a funny meme. And that spoke volume for me. You know, that day will probably be, I'm hoping that day will be my worst day in this career. And I say that because I don't want any more incidents like that.
Right.
So I'm hoping that's it, one and done, right? So I'm very fortunate to have such a great peer support team here at the sheriff's office, to have people care, to lend an ear, to let me talk to them. And so for me, it's my way to return the favor. So when there was an opening, I put in that I would like to be a part of this, and that was accepted. So
Yeah.
I'm paying it forward. That's how I got here.
Yeah. And you, it wasn't too long ago that you completed your peer support training. And I was wondering what, maybe just give us an overall idea or snapshot of it and what your takeaways from your peer support training were.
So that training was great. It was put on by Dan and Tammy Roach, who are the owners of Cornerstone Retreat Center. Tammy, in the Catholic Church, they call the guys are called priests.
Right.
What
Yeah,
are
deacons?
Yeah, maybe that's what she was.
Yeah, Eucharistic minister. But
Maybe a minister. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
Minister. So
okay.
she's a minister.
Yeah.
Tammy's a minister, and Dan is a retired Illinois State Police trooper. So Dan, they co-taught. It was great. They kept us entertained and engaged. Dan actually worked some crazy undercover shit for ISP, like motorcycle gang stuff.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the people he was dealing with, the level of stress, the situations he was put in were crazy, right? And I think we all can agree that in law enforcement, our days aren't usually flowers and butterflies, are they? No, they're crap, you know? So he's seen the terrible of the
Yeah.
terrible. And I think that led him down a dark path, which led him to this path of being a peer support member and reaching out and being available for other people. And he shared his story. One of my biggest takeaways was just sitting there and listening and being with whoever needs it right now. We don't always have to have the right thing to say, but if you can sit there and be with someone and listen, that's going to help them. And another big thing I took away from that was being vulnerable. You know, I've been in this career for 19 years, and the bad days outweigh the good days.
Yeah.
You know, and that comes with
Tenfold.
emotion and sadness and sharing that and sharing your experience, but mostly listening to that person. That will probably help them open up. If you can be vulnerable
Right.
about yourself and your struggles, that's going to help them open up and know that they can trust you. So that was,
Yeah, being real.
being
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that and you know, there's a certain level, there's a hardness that you have to develop doing what you do. And it's sometimes it's, you know, we talked about, well, you just mentioned, you know, there's a lot of stuff and it's not usually for good reasons, but dear God, when the chaplain gets called out, you know it's as bad as it gets. And there is an exterior that you have to, you know, you've got to fortify yourself or galvanize your emotions and your, you know, these responses and the way you answer questions. I made the mistake one time of being vulnerable when somebody asked me, Chaplain, how are you doing, really? And I said, well, I'm going to take a chance here and tell this person how I'm doing. And he said, he literally said to me, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You're a man of the cloth.
Oh.
I'm like, dude, you asked. You asked me.
Wow.
But that wasn't a peer.
No, that wasn't a peer.
Yeah.
It was a law enforcement official, and I never made that mistake to, yes, I'm vulnerable. I try to be as real as I can, but you know what? You got to be careful who you talk to. But the fact is, you have to talk. That's a way to decompress. That's a way to just stay grounded, if you will, because you don't want to be so disconnected that you're always in Never Never Land.
Right.
You know, and I jokingly say to one of my family members, you know, stop trying to be a cop all the time. You know, just talk to me. You know, I don't need you to corner me and try to control my movements and control the conversation. Just talk to me. And all these years later, I find out that cops are still being cops. You know, it's just so funny.
But that goes back to the feeling safe thing.
Yeah.
If you take your job, you're always on edge. And where is your safe place to go talk? Where is your safe place to vent? There's so many fears out there with repercussions at your job, or they're going to think you're nuts, or whatever. And the truth comes down to, if you're feeling it, there's a really, really good chance that somebody else at that scene or in your department is feeling it too. There's a stigmatism that you have to be tough. And sometimes being tough is that vulnerability and not being afraid to show a little bit of, for lack of a better way to word it, a little bit of lax on your personal safety, that you can talk to somebody and talk realistic, because that's what's going to get you brought out of wherever you're at. You don't have to go at it alone, but we've so often been taught, step up, be tough, walk it off,
Show
things
no
like
emotion.
that.
Yeah.
And then you bury it.
Right.
Yeah, I had a meeting yesterday with another peer support leader and in another community, and it's interesting just talking peer support, how someone else does it, what they consider peer support, and and I was thinking, if you were to, and we're answering the question already, why does peer support matter, and how do you define peer support? But why does it matter, and what is peer support? How would you answer that?
Well, here's why it matters, as we touched on this before. This job has more bad days than good days. And sometimes people, they can put that away and it doesn't bother them. But sometimes we have incidences where those things do bother us, and they stay up here, and that memory stays here, and it stays here, and it stays here, because we don't talk about it, and we don't talk about it for all those reasons that you just mentioned, right? But we need to talk about it. Talk.
Yeah.
Because that moves that memory from here to another spot where we can go back to it, but it's not right here.
It's not on the forefront.
That's right. And so we need to move it from here over here, kind of like our iPhones.
Yeah.
From the phone to the iCloud. We can still access it, but we don't need it right here with us right now. So peer support is important, because when you feel comfortable talking to someone about something that you're going through, you're talking and you're getting it out of you, and you're talking and then talking and talking. And when we had that shooting in June, one of the biggest things that somebody told me was, you have to continue to talk about this incident. If it bothers you, you just have to keep talking to someone. talk until you're tired of talking. And when you feel tired of talking, that's when you know, I think I'm at a good spot where it doesn't bother me anymore. So,
But knowing that it's okay if something starts to bother again to talk again.
yeah, absolutely.
It's never a completed process.
I think peer support is a mutual exchange of emotional, social assistance between I'm helping you, you're helping me. And we need that between peers.
Right.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be within your agency. You guys went over and helped DeKalb County when they lost Deputy Muscle. And sometimes it's easier to talk to someone outside of your agency. There's less fear of it going back to administration.
There's less peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, peer pressure, right, exactly. That's
The other thing that does is it takes some of the factual away from it, and someone will be open to just listen to you versus steering you. No, that's not how that happened. Well, that's how you took it.
Right.
That's how you felt with it. So having someone that wasn't close to it that can just hear you is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I think we know who we trust to talk to. You know if you connect with people or not. So I always say, and you can comment on this, and this is what I shared yesterday at my meeting, was that in my personal philosophy and what I believe to be key is I have to connect with people. I have to make it a point to talk to you and connect with you so that you can make a determination. I think I like this guy. I think I will talk to him. Or you write me off and you say, you're a fruitcake. I don't care nothing about anything you got to say. I'm never going to talk to you, but I'll be courteous and I'll smile and I say, hey, Chaplain, how are you? So I think that's a big part of what we do is connecting with people so that they will feel comfortable in saying, hey, can I talk to you for a minute?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I am going to comment this, Gary, because I'm going to take you back to when we lost Deputy Muscle, and I called you. I was up at school, and I was angry. Like, I didn't know her, but I'm angry because that was a senseless murder. I was so angry and you came up. I can share this, right?
You sure? It's yours to share.
Okay.
I haven't shared it with anybody.
I know, because that's part of the peer. You
right.
don't share. So
That's just this guy.
I called Gary because I was angry to the point where it's changing my ability to come in and do a good job at my job, right? I'm showing up at a school where I'm supposed to smile and be friendly and interact with kids. But when you're so angry about something and you're not doing that, you have a problem. And now we need to find a resolution. So I called Gary. I'm like, hey, can you come over to the school and talk with me? And he came over. And we walked around the school because we like walking, getting our steps in. And I just told him, I'm so freaking angry. And, do you think she's in heaven and all these things? And we walked and talked. And I felt better. And that was huge for me, Gary.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I chose you that day. It was probably because you're Italian.
Hey, of course.
I think it was because you're Italian.
Yeah.
No, I know. And any of my peer members would have picked up that phone and come over in a heartbeat.
That's right.
But I knew you lived in Byron.
Yeah.
So I was like,
That's
hey, can you
close.
come over here and walk and talk? And then I can just kind of stay at the school where I'm supposed to be, but deal with that angry emotion that I didn't want to have in front of people.
Yeah.
Not that I'm afraid of showing emotion, but I don't like being that angry.
Yeah.
I don't like being that angry,
Yeah.
especially in front of people.
Yeah.
When you catch me angry that I want to cry, we're at a bad place. Like,
Yeah.
I need to come down a few steps
Well, think about how cool that is that you had options,
for sure.
people to call. And of course, we're going to find somebody. In church, I dump on him. He's a retired fire chief. I've known him for quite some time, so I roped him into mostly for selfish reasons. I needed somebody.
Yeah.
Leaders have to surround themselves with other leaders. That's just a basic rule. And I'll be honest with you, it is very lonely at the top. So you try to take people with you, but you got to be careful. But I appreciate you sharing that and saying that, because I was so thrilled that you did reach out. And I thought, you know what, just to talk through it, talk it out. There's no good answers. I mean, why did this happen? We ask these questions all the time. It shouldn't have happened to her. Why did it? I don't know. I always default to, I don't know. That's a biblical answer. I don't know. But we do have to process it and deal with it. And the fact that we have an official peer support team is so thrilling to me, because I've worked hard in our communities I've been serving as a chaplain for 25 years. I've been pastor of our church for almost 30 years. And it's like I've just been building this momentum, ultimately reaching this point now. We're at the pinnacle where it's like, this is what we've needed, is organized official peer support. Mm-hmm. I love it. Yeah. It is the greatest thing. And, of course, when I found out that you were interested and you were going to go to the training, I thought, oh, you are going to be so good.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Sure, Detective, anytime. I think I have detectivitis. So I do, you share as much as you want or as little as you want. I don't want to jeopardize anything, but I did want to circle back to the shooting, June 12th, 2024.
Could we take just a
pause?
Not a pause. I want to
unpause.
When you start talking about Deputy Musil, I can remember, and I made some mistakes. I let him go alone, and that generally doesn't happen. When he goes to stuff like that, I generally tag in the shadows or something, and I didn't. And I got angry because of what happened, mm-hmm. and then watching it on television and seeing, oh my goodness gracious, thousands of people there, and seeing all the law enforcement parade by and what have you. That was awesome. I'm glad I watched it, because that helped me. Mm-hmm. But I knew that, not that I would probably do anything with it, but that I should have been there is what I felt like. And it really made me angry inside that same way. And because it was law enforcement, a first responder, to me, that's just not right. Yeah. And so close to home. But it was so gratifying to see all those that showed up, and to hear you up there, that really helped me as well. But I knew that I had missed my calling on that one.
Well, and again, I mean, there's things that we wished we all could have done differently. And I mean, I'm with you, Emily. I mean, I hope, first of all, I've done a line of duty death for firefighter. I've done a line of duty death for law enforcement official, a deputy muscle, and I don't ever want to do that again. But yet, if it happens again, I want to be the one there. I want to be there because I know who I am and what I bring. And I wouldn't want anybody else there bringing encouragement, bringing a word of encouragement, hope, strength, anything. I don't want just anybody doing mm-hmm. that. This is a big deal to me. I don't know if you knew this or not, and I wanted to share this before we talk about the shooting. So to say that I was meant to be there to help with the funeral, I don't have any doubt in my mind. It was a little overwhelming at the moment. It's like, oh my God, I know what has to be done. I can't believe this happened, first of all. But I was aware of the fact that, and this is going to sound weird, but those who are in this profession will understand when I say this. I felt like something come over me, like almost empowering me. And I don't know how else to describe it. So when I was ready to come up the stairs to take the platform, mm-hmm. standing next to me was a Chicago police officer. There were several. I mean, there was people there from all over. But this particular Chicago police officer had a part to play. And while we were standing there, and I just felt this calming, strengthening presence come over me. Next to me, I never met this Chicago police officer before. This first time. And she's looking at me, and she's like, I'm sorry. She went like this. She goes, there's something coming off of you. literally said that to me.
Wow.
And I, you know me, I said, I know, girl, I feel it too. You know, I said, whew, that must be the anointing. She said that must be the anointing. I'm like, dang, wow. So when I say I knew I was supposed to be there, I felt it. And I feel like you're supposed to be doing what you're doing. I feel it. Like you're doing exactly what God wants you to do. How cool is that?
Right.
It's amazing. There are people who shouldn't be doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. You know, they're easy to recognize, but you're one of those, and I'm not just saying it, I believe it. It's like, yeah, you were called to do this. And together, I believe we are going to make a difference and do a lot of good for people. And sometimes it's just encouraging them to hold it together, keep the perspective, live to fight another day. Mm-hmm. When people tell me, and they have through the years, that if it weren't for you, I'd be dead, thank you. I'm like, all I did was show up and do this. I got you. I'm here with you. We'll do it together. That's all I did. And people say, I was going to go kill myself. And now, because of you, I did. And I'm like, thank you, Lord. There's another one, for the kingdom, so to speak. What an incredible privilege this is, because you do deal with things that are hard. And thank God, it's not a career-ending incident. It wasn't. It's not going to end your career. It's not going to do that. It's not going to win. But for some people, things that they go through has ended. It's been a career-ending call. What a shame that is, because you're called to do this.
Right.